Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
I have a tender spot in my heart for cripples, bastards, and broken things.
What about second breakfast?
I have an army.
We have a Hulk. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
This is a tasty burger.
And tell him to suit up. I'm bringing the party to you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Film Optix podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the Star Wars sequel. I'm joined, as always, by Devin. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And I'm also joined from the Cinemania World page. We have Alex. How are you doing today, man?
It could be better because I saw Playmobil. I made that mistake.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I made that mistake. I was really hoping Dwayne and the World Show would just like question me more on it, because I would be like, no, like, because you know how like down I was at the beginning of that show. I was just like,
he was like tweeting us from inside the theater. He's like, yeah, this is like the first movie I've ever walked out on. So
what has Harry Potter become?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've literally I'm 25 years old. First ever movie I've walked out on. I walked out in the last 20 minutes. I'm like, I know exactly where this is going. And then I read the rest of the plot summary on Wikipedia, and I was like, yep, I was right.
So what was it about really, really quick? Because I'm genuinely curious.
Okay, so basically, it's a giant ripoff of the Lego movie. So it starts off as live action. These two siblings, a sister and a brother, their parents tragically die, and then it flash forwards like 4 years later, and she's trying to preach to the brother not to have fun and that he can't go on any adventures, which is a horrible message to preach to kids. And then he goes into this toy convention called Toy Con. He touches one of the Playmobiles, and they both get zapped into the world of Playmobiles.
Okay.
I think you've heard enough.
No, you're fine. That's wow. All right. So that was our review of the Playmobil movie. Everybody, like, comment, and subscribe. But no, it's all right. But yeah. So my name is Christian, by the way, everyone. And before we begin today's main topics, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and Anchor, and you can also follow us on Instagram, because we have an Instagram now, which I caved on a few days ago, and our Twitter, all at Film Optix, and Optix is spelled Optix. So let's just dive right in, man. We're just gonna be talking about everything Star Wars, and the new movie, Rise of Skywalker. It's all ending next week.
I can't believe it.
Well, yeah. Well, at least the Skywalker saga. But I'm baffled. And I figured, we take a trip down memory lane here and just talk about the previous two movies. Because originally I was thinking, maybe we should like hop on the, let's review all 8 movies. And I really sat down and thought about it. I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't even think Devin has access to.
I'm actually on my YouTube channel. I'm actually surprised I have time for it, because like I filmed my reviews for the first 6 episodes. I'm almost done editing episode 5, and then I still gotta film my one for episode 7 and then episode 8 as well. And so I'm surprised. I'm like, I'm making more progress on this than I thought.
And then you got to do the Bond movies, but that's
yeah.
It's a lot of fun. But yeah, Devin and I have just pretty much been. I think we both rewatched Force Awakens and The Last Jedi within the past few days. So
Last Jedi is a very hot topic.
It is a very hot topic, and we're going to be talking about that,
especially recently. It just came back.
Oh my gosh, dude! Of course, everyone's going to be hopping on the hate train. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but
it doesn't make sense to me either. And I got a hot take. It's my favorite It's my favorite movie in the saga.
This is true. This is true. He's told me this before.
So it sounds like we're on the same page where we don't hate it. That's good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I asked Alex to come on, and he's like, I'm not gonna get my head ripped off for liking The Last Jedi, am I? And I was like, no, mate, you're good. You're good. Like, trust me. I was like, well, I don't know, man. Devin like really hates this movie. No, no, it's crazy. I mean, you guys have both seen, even on anytime I post something Last Jedi on Facebook, like
you're brave. You're a brave soul. I don't understand.
Yeah, I know you are. Like I'm like trying to like think of like what to do for like my thumbnail, and I'm gonna put like The Last Jedi, a flawed cinematic masterpiece, and I'm gonna be like, come at me, internet trolls.
Sometimes, like even on like YouTube, you have to like throw that bait out there just a little bit because you know people are gonna bite. Like it's fantastic. I mean, when me and Devin did our Aquaman review, when that came out, we got like an early access screening to it through AMC, and we were like texting each other the entire movie because we both just didn't like it. And then there were so many people on our YouTube comment page, and they're like, "Oh my god, how'd you hate this movie? You don't understand. You don't know shit about film and blah 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 blah." And I was like, yeah. Same thing happened with the Golden Globes last year, and we didn't really care for Rami Malek, but it is what it is. But I guess let's just start by talking off with the Force Awakens, and then we'll get into Last Jedi, and then talk about our hopes and predictions and what have you for the Rise of Skywalker. So really quick here for people who actually don't really watch Star Wars or just now getting to the series. The Force Awakens was produced and co-written by J.J. Abrams, and it is the first installment of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, following up the story of Return of the Jedi, the seventh episode in the 9-part quote-unquote Skywalker saga. The release date was 2015, December 18th, director J.J. Abrams, and it made over $2 billion US dollars in the box office, and I believe it is ranked one of the higher grossing movies of all time. I think it's in the top 5, I believe, but this was right after, Disney's purchase from, Star Wars production, Lucasfilms, as we all know. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the smartest acquisitions ever made in corporate America. And this is the first Star Wars film we've gotten in 10 years. So what, Revenge of the Sith came out 2005.
2005.
Yeah, so 10 years. It's been a 10-year hiatus, and receiving a 93% of Rotten Tomatoes. So I guess just want to ask you guys both really quick, when you found out that they were continuing Star Wars after Disney had bought the rights, what were your initial thoughts? I guess let's start with Alex really quick, since he's our guest.
When Disney bought him.
Yeah, like I guess like what were like your first like initial reactions? And
inevitably I knew there was going to be a new movie. So when they announced that there was going to be a new movie, I was a little bit skeptical because I was like, I really don't know what to think of this. And then I was thinking to myself, I was like, why would George Lucas like sell off like his product, like his baby, to Disney? And I was just like, there has to be a huge reason for this. So that was a little bit skeptical when that happened. And then when they announced that the movie was coming, and then they announced that the original cast was or I think they casted like Rey and Finn and Poe and all that first. And then they announced that like Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher are coming back. And I'm like, okay, now I'm getting on board with this movie. And then we saw that first teaser, and I was automatically pumped. I was ready for it then. And then we got 2 more trailers. That final trailer for The Force Awakens is still the best trailer I've ever seen.
I would have to agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like it just got me pumped. Like just seeing Han Solo there and the music playing, he's like, it's true. All of it. And then it just goes into the you see the Knights of Ren in the rain. I'm like, holy fuck, right. Now bring it on.
Yeah, I got you. Devin, what about you? Your initial thoughts when you were first? I just figured I'd bear the question for you guys before we do a little bit more of a deep dive, just to get a sense of what everyone was feeling.
So we were in high school when they announced Disney was buying it, right?
Yeah, we were.
I remember it was
yeah.
funny. It was funny. Everyone was like making the joke. Oh, Zac Efron and Miley Cyrus are going to be in Star Wars. It's going to be so dumb.
Hey, I'd pay to see that movie. High School Musical in space seems like a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely the initial reaction. Everyone was just freaking out because Disney. But then, obviously, as the trailers came out, and those cool ass posters too.
Yeah.
When those came out,
Star Wars definitely make a good poster.
Definitely got excited.
Yeah, it was insane because it came out of nowhere, at least for me, because as soon as I heard that George Lucas, I was like, man, like, A, he's either hurting for money, or two, he just doesn't care about this at all. And I was like, okay, it kind of made sense because I mean, even for like we're all prequel children, because or Alex, did you see the original trilogy before you saw the prequels growing up?
I don't think so. From what I remember, no.
Okay.
I know I never got to see Phantom Menace in theaters because I was too young. I was only 5 when that was released. But
Yeah.
I mean, I remember. I mean, maybe I did because we had the original trilogy on VHS. So maybe I did.
Oh,
I don't know.
That word.
It's anxious.
Now available on VHS and DVD. What?
But I remember I was so mad though because I wanted to see Phantom Menace so bad, and like DVD was relatively new at the time, and so when it was released on VHS, I was so dismayed to learn Phantom Menace wasn't on DVD. I had to wait like 5 years for it to come out on DVD.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw your opening crawl for that was
that was the Phantom Menace.
I was like, that was actually really funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because Devin, did your parents show you the original trilogy before, or did you just dive in?
I didn't watch the original trilogy until after the prequels.
Okay, yeah. So pretty much same with me. So yeah, so we're all prequel kids here. So it's like we have a different look or a different point of view or outlook on these Star Wars films, and it's just I don't know. Like when I saw Force Awakens 3 times when it came out. I saw it.
I did too.
I saw it once. I can't remember how I once. Was it me? Devin, we went to go see it, didn't we?
Yeah, with my dad.
Yeah, was that the first time? Because I think, oh my gosh, I think Zootopia was coming out around the same time, and they showed that trailer with the sloth, and he was just
oh my God.
I was literally bawling my eyes out because I thought it was so funny. But yeah, I saw it with Devin and his dad. Then that's right. First time I saw it with Devin. Second time I saw it with my mom because she kind of wanted to see it. To see Harrison Ford. And third time I saw it with some cousin. I just love The Force Awakens. It is in my top 5 of like any Star Wars. Probably honestly within my top 3 because it's so freaking good. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's like A New Hope. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's right up there for me. It's I think it's number 4 for me.
They change every year, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. Mine's pretty much stayed the same, but I'm the same way. Like I was there, and I was like, I mean, I get the argument. It's a little similar to A New Hope, and they kind of played it safe, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a remake of A New Hope.
Right. Yeah, but it's like I definitely agree. It's just I don't know, like when Devin and I saw it in theater, I was just blown away, and it's like, me and Devin have been talking about this for a while. Like literally, all the Star Wars stuff is coming back, and I guess now more people are saying that the prequels are not as bad because it's like the prequels were out of style. Now they're in style, then they were out, and now they're in style again.
And people are just gonna hate on the new trilogy because it's newer and it's not the original trilogy, so they're gonna be like, oh, the prequels just aren't that bad anymore.
Right. So I guess bear the question. So Devin and I have been going back and forth. We have different viewpoints on this. Are you more of an Anakin guy or more of a Luke guy?
Luke.
I don't know. I'm a Luke guy too. So
Yeah.
The problem for me with Anakin is like I would probably be an Anakin guy if he was more portrayed in the way he was on like the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah.
If he wasn't just like, I killed them all, but that's just the myth.
I hate sand. It's so coarse.
It's rough and like
it's all
like,
rough in here. Okay.
I hate I appreciate Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, but I hate Attack of the Clones. My least favorite.
A lot of people do, and it's so weird because I mean, it does not look the best. Well, the CGI is very rough, very rough.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, eventually they have to show Anakin falling in love and getting married because how else is he going to have children? And I think you had said this, Alex, one of your reviews. I think it was in Revenge of the Sith that I think it was that they should have started Anakin off as, with the Phantom Menace as more of like a teenager, right. And then because it's like we know who he is. And I think that's the problem with Star Wars as a whole is that, we start in like the middle of pretty much the huge climax of between all three trilogies, which is episode 4, 5, and 6. And then it's like, oh, let's start in the middle and then we'll fill in all the plot holes later. Because I read somewhere that originally George Lucas did want to make 9 films, but
he did.
So it's like, how does that happen? I mean, as much as I love Star Wars, there are a lot of plot holes. I mean, there's a lot of plot holes with a lot of great, stories out there, but
right. Like something I've never understood. Like, I mean, Phantom Menace, like how Anakin's just created from the Force because he's a midichlorian. That's an aspect I've never really understood. And then Attack of the Clones. This is a big reason why it's my least favorite. Is that I thought Jedi weren't allowed to fall in love. I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
Well, you see, and so I've been between playing Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 over, and just looking up a lot of things between. Just doing a little bit more research that I haven't, that I've been meaning to do for a while. Cause I know, there's a comic that, Palpatine essentially impregnates, Shmi. So that's how, it's quote unquote, he kind of willed the Force into existence. I think it's the same with Rey, cause we don't know a lot about her. And I think that's totally fine. Cause maybe the Force did just will itself into existence. I don't necessarily know if she's a Skywalker. If she is, that's cool. If not, then that's fine too. But it's just that's what I liked about the Force. There was so much mystery and asking all these questions, and that's really what J.J. Abrams is really was known for when it comes to his mystery side of his writing. But I don't know. It was just, I mean, we get Ben Solo. I really wish we got more of like the Knights of Ren.
I thought we were gonna get more of that in The Last Jedi. Doesn't really bother me as long as they're given justice in Episode 9.
Yeah, I'm
okay with it. Something I really love about The Force Awakens is the fact that, I mean, maybe not fact. This is just opinion, but
he's like, these are facts. I spit nothing but facts.
The way I look at Kylo Ren is that he's more of like he idolizes Vader so much that he's a poser, and that's what I love about that character. Like he just wants to be Darth Vader because he wants to be like the all-powerful being like his father or his grandfather was. So he's just like, I idolize him. Like you can even tell too because the mask is kind of modeled after Vader.
Yeah,
he's got. Vader was all robotic. Yeah, the voice. Yeah, and then I love in I'll talk about it when we get there too. Like The Last Jedi, how they kind of flip that over, and it's like let the past die. It's like okay, well, like maybe I shouldn't be idolizing him, but that's what I loved about Kylo Ren in the first one. I think a lot of people probably had a lot of problems with because it's like, oh well, there's too many parallels and similarities here to Vader, but at the same time, I feel like that's the point of Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens. Like he's supposed to be like that because he thinks he is Darth Vader. Like he idolizes him so much that he's in the what's the word I'm looking for? Like he's just in the mindset and like probably like has like that thought trapped in his mind. He's that much of a psycho, basically.
Right.
Yeah, he's just hypnotized.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, Devin. What were your thoughts?
Oh, I love my thick boy Kylo Ren.
He's got that thick mane, man. Like Adam Driver.
Everything about him is thick, man.
Look how old you
U.S. Marine, man, veteran, crazy, and just he goes into the movie business, and it's just he's blowing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say as far as Force Awakens goes, I love every new character that they introduced for the most part.
Me too.
And especially the actors that they got to portray them. Like no one knew who Daisy Ridley was. No one knew who John Boyega was. But they come into this movie and they have so much charisma. You just like fall in love with them immediately.
I fell in love with Daisy Ridley when I first saw Force Awakens. I was like, who is she? She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's just
marry
wow.
me.
Seriously, marry me. I'm like, hey, we're the same age. It's all good.
And she even like created a new hairstyle.
And I love her score. I love her hairstyle. I love everything about her. And I really hate it when people say that she's Mary Sue, because I
don't understand that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, because even looking back and rewatching Force Awakens, it's like, okay, yeah, like it's like, okay, how does she know about the Force? How does she know about the Jedi mind trick? But like those are the questions we're supposed to be asking. And like when she's facing Kylo at the very end, she's not like, she's kind of holding her own, but she's kind of just wailing around her lightsaber like she doesn't really know how to
see it. Like you see him swinging it, and then you kind of see her like trying to stab him at times.
Yeah, and she's literally just like flailing it everywhere, and it's just like, okay, clearly she doesn't really know how to use the Force all that well, but it is called The Force Awakens, and obviously the Force has awakened within her. For what reasons, we do not know, but that's just what I really liked about it. And then Han Solo dying, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the movie.
It's funny. Yeah. I had it spoiled for me before I saw the movie. I think I told you. I was playing Rocket League and someone's name was Han Solo Dies. And that's how I figured it out.
Literally, I remember. Yeah.
That's like both Dwayne and I we found out Tony died in Endgame before we saw it. So
no, did you really?
Sucks.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that got spoiled. No, like that really does suck, because I think I think my roommate indirectly spoiled Infinity War when he said Spider-Man dies. But like he was
it
kind of
sound very indirectly.
Well,
yeah.
As in like he was talking, he's because he saw it before me. He's like, man, he's like, I bet you Spider-Man dies. He's like, my buddy said that he saw it. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then I mean, I still felt, sad that Spider-Man, I was like, damn it, he was right. But no, that really does suck that you find out
this movie to prove him wrong.
But it really did. Like, I'm so sorry that you found out that Tony dies before, because that,
I know.
I mean, like, obviously they're cap wielding, Mjolnir and whatnot, but man, that really does suck. I hate spoilers, man. I'm just trying to avoid Rise of Skywalker as much as I can.
Like that's the thing. Like they released like a good chunk of the soundtrack for Rise of Skywalker, and then like somebody leaked the title, so I was like, nope, staying away from that.
No, seriously, dude. Like, yeah, don't, because like something within that. Oh my God, I just hate it, because anything with merchandise, because for the longest time, you guys remember when my God, what was it? It was some kind of Disney Toys to Life video game that they had like all the merchandising out for Force Awakens. And
Disney Infinity?
I think it was. And then
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and they were talking about how Rey and Kylo were like cousins. And I'm like, why does she have to be related to someone? Why does she have to be related to Skywalker?
That's the thing too. And then everybody was like, oh, like Finn's related to Lando. I'm like, is like, so we're just gonna assume every black guy in the galaxy is related.
There's
to
only 2
Lando?
that we know of.
Yeah, Lando.
We got
by the way,
Lando and Finn.
And the Mandalorian introduced a new one too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep. Lando Calrissian, first black man in space.
It's like, damn, even out here, really? We're scarce. It's like, there's no one really? Okay, I mean, hey, there's a lot of aliens, so that's a pass for me.
When Carl Weathers popped up in The Mandalorian, I was like, oh my god, it's Lando Calrissian. I was like, wait a minute, no, that's Apollo Creed.
Yeah. Apollo, what are you doing all the way out here?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm like, yeah. I thought you were dead.
Seriously. So, I saw that movie you were in. Like, how? You want to explain all this to me?
If Palpatine is back in 9, you got to explain how you're back, Apollo, okay?
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how they're going to tie Palpatine into this. One of my the friends who kept commenting on my Last Jedi thing, I guess we'll just segue into that as well here after this. So I think he kept, you know that, oh my gosh, that article, it's, oh my God, we've got this covered.
Yeah, don't trust them.
We've got this covered.
Yeah, it's BS like 99.9% of the time. But
I found that out shortly before you even knew that they were BS. Like I literally found out like a week and a half before you. Everybody's like, yeah, don't trust them.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. And I see a lot of people keep posting about it. And I remember Tyler saying, yeah, no, it's complete BS. I'm like, okay, there's no reason not to trust Tyler. And he's very outspoken against that stuff. But someone was saying that my buddy, he had mentioned that there was like, there was like 6 different endings to Rise of Skywalker, and they were
I highly doubt that.
I was like, what crap?
Even if there was, it's
smoking?
pretty common to test different endings.
It is common, and also they did the same thing with Game of Thrones season 8. They purposely made multiple endings so that the actual ending wouldn't get leaked.
That's what they're doing with the new James Bond movie too. They don't, because it's Daniel Craig's final one, so they don't want
that, and they just don't trust people. And I'm like,
exactly.
I don't blame them at all.
Who knows? Disney could get hacked, and then we just have the entire script of Rise of Skywalker out.
Well, I mean, John Boyega already, left it in that hotel room.
They're lucky that didn't get fucked.
No, seriously, like, I think his career at Disney might have been over. Maybe.
I mean, they still hire Mark Ruffalo, so
yeah,
I don't know about that.
That is true. Him and Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah.
And my God, they spill so much stuff, and it's like, wow.
I remember when Mark Ruffalo was on like all the talk shows at night. He was going around like spewing fake.
I remember Don Cheadle just getting so pissed at him for spoiling the ending.
Yeah, Ruffalo was going around on like what do you call it? Like talk shows at night. He was just coming up with fake titles for Endgame. He's like, yeah, and Avengers: The Last Avenger. Everybody's like, wait, is that the title?
Yeah, that's funny though, to like kind of throw him off, but
yeah. And then I remember Zoe Saldana did it too. She's like, yeah, we did this in Infinity War, and then when we do this in Infinity Gauntlet, and everybody's like, wait, is that the title?
I remember not Daisy Ridley, Maisie Williams kind of did the same thing for Game of Thrones, but it was more of a April Fool's prank. I remember that. I think she was on Jimmy Fallon when she went on and was telling them all about season 8, and she pretended that like, oh crap, I just gave away the ending. And they're like, gotcha. I thought that was very, very clever.
That was clever. Yeah, that was clever.
Yeah, because she's very I don't know, she can definitely hide her her emotions or what she's actually thinking, and a lot of these people do. But yeah, man, The Force Awakens is just such a great movie, and I hate it when people are like, oh, it's so much like A New Hope, and then it's like, okay, fair, and then they give The Last Jedi, and it's like, oh my God, what is this crap?
Right, like to an like that whole like it's the same thing as A New Hope. Like to an extent, I agree, but I'm not gonna say completely the same thing. Because here's the thing, like, you have to, like, I understand there's going to be similarities and they're kind of playing it safe, which is one of my issues with the movie, but I understand why they did that. Because a lot of people didn't like the prequel, so they had to prove to people that this is going to be more like the original trilogy. You're not going to have, like, all these weird CGI, like, creatures all over the place. There's not going to be Gungans or anything, or any Jar Jars and stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, and stuff like that running around. So I understand why they did it the way that they did it, and I appreciate them for doing it that way. And I think that that was the right move to make, to prove to people, hey, like, we're committed to making this similar to the original trilogy. There's also, I'm not a huge fan of the Rathtar sequence either. I think that's kind of
when they're caught inside of my God, Han's ship when he
yeah. What was the first time? You owe it to Conja Club. I didn't say anything.
So that's a Conja Club. He was like, no, hold on.
That whole sequence, I think it's a good sequence. It just feels out of place, and so that's kind of my other issue with The Force Awakens. But I mean, again, like, I understand to an extent where people are coming from when they say it is like A New Hope. I just see it as similarities rather than an actual. Like, I think people go overboard with the whole "it's a remake of A New Hope" like thing. You know.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know, Devin. What about you? Sorry, we've been going on here.
I just hate how they say it's too much like A New Hope, and then The Last Jedi is different than anything else, and they're like, oh, it's too different now. Well, you can't have it both ways.
It's like, well, which is it? Do you want it the same or do you want it different? Like, I just don't get it.
And now there's like those people, when I think it was the final trailer for the Rise of Skywalker came out, and you saw them being chased by the stormtroopers on that vehicle in the desert. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is no Return of the Jedi now." I'm like, "Oh my God!"
I just make up your mind.
Can we cancel Star Wars fans?
Yes.
No,
please.
I just, because Devin and I have talked about this, and people were like, "Oh, Ryan Johnson ruined Star Wars for me," or the Ryan Johnson ruined my childhood. I'm like. And I think Devin put this in a really good way, where it's like, people are saying that it doesn't really seem like they've grown up themselves, and it seems that they're still children themselves, when it's like,
that's the perfect way of putting it.
Yeah, and like, I'm not entirely sure how everyone else feels about that, because I've been thinking about like saying something like that on like Twitter, but like. I feel like I get more backlash on Facebook, and I'm like, and it's from the same freaking two people.
I think it's because you can say more on Facebook, and because you don't have a limited character count. Yeah. But like, I mean, I
just can't imagine not liking a movie, but then having that affect me in my life for the next.
Or not seeing Knives Out because Ryan Johnson,
Yeah, and that's I don't know if you guys have watched Jeremy Johns' review of Knives Out, but like,
I did.
I understand he didn't like the movie, and that's totally fine. He's totally entitled to his opinion. But the way he came across in that video was just like, I don't like this because it's Ryan Johnson and he did The Last Jedi. That's kind of how he came across to me in that video. I was like, all right, I'm done with it. Because he's just like, even when he released his review for The Last Jedi, he's like, I don't really know what to think of it. He's like, I was underwhelmed by some stuff, and I was he's like, and I was satisfied with some other stuff. And then he does this whole spoiler review. He's like, I give it a good time, no alcohol required, but he's like still bitching about everything in that review.
I kind of like stopped watching his videos.
His ego got too big for him.
I hate how his production value has not improved. Like, I understand it's kind of funny to look at, but come on now.
Yeah, I know, exactly. That's how I feel. Yeah, and I wish he was like one of those critics that was Stuckman, who went into more of like the filmmaking.
Stuckman a lot.
Yeah, because everybody who hates The Last Jedi is just like, this is the worst thing ever. I'm like, you can't deny how well made it is, like how well shot it is. Like, it's a very well directed movie. Like, you don't like it, fine, but there's no way you can't deny that like the technical aspects of the movie are like beyond, in my opinion, perfect.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good transition to go over to The Last Jedi. So
I came up with actually a pretty good comparison today, because
all right,
I'd say the MCU is kind of more my forte than Star Wars is.
Mm.
So the comparison I had is if you hate The Last Jedi and have it affect your life for 2 straight years, that's like me not liking the first 2 Thor movies because I didn't.
Right.
And then hating the MCU and being mad about it for the next 2 years. Like, why would you do that?
Well, like,
why?
yeah. And it's like me. It's like I don't really like the DC extended universe all that much. Like, I liked Man of Steel when it first came out, then I went sour on that movie. Hated Batman versus Superman. And in my head, I was like, I don't trust anything they're gonna do, but that's not gonna stop me from going to see these movies. Like,
yeah, you're not gonna shit post on other people's things saying how dumb they are for liking it.
Right? Yeah. Like, I mean, I'll aggressively maybe state my opinion, but I'm not gonna be like, no, you have to love this movie or you have to hate this movie. I'm never gonna do that. Like. And that's why I was like, even when like Justice League came out, like I had this preconceived notion that it was going to be bad, and then I was like, well, maybe. I was like, maybe this might be good. And I sat in the theater. I was right. Like, that didn't stop me from seeing Aquaman.
Yeah, it did not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also, Devin, really quick, Alex is not a big fan of Wonder Woman. Well, the previous Wonder Woman trailer.
Yes.
And we actually talked about this on the Cinemania World podcast today.
It's the Man of Steel effect for me. I liked it when I saw it in theaters, but the more that I watch it, I don't like it.
Yeah, I can see that because the ending like sours a lot of it.
Yeah, I just didn't really like the villain all that much, and it was just very. I mean, because we were talking about like the Wonder Woman 84 trailer, and I'd say that I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I am 100% more excited for Black Widow.
I am too.
Yeah, and because, like, we had our hot takes over there, but
yeah, because like even like. I don't really like Thor: The Dark World all that much. Like, I'm not gonna flat out say it's a bad movie, but it's definitely like one of the weaker entries in the MCU. But it's like, even then, like stuff like that, like makes me more like excited because it's part of this overall branching thing. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 isn't as good as the first one, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and like, but that's not gonna stop me from. You know, like being like, oh, like I'm no longer excited from these movies. Like I hope that they end. No, like even if Thor: The Dark World is my least favorite one, like at the time I was like, that could have been a little bit better. But I'm like, you know, I'll see what they got for whatever their next movie is. I think it was Winter Soldier after that. And I was like, that was amazing. Yeah. And then every movie after that has been consistently good.
Yeah.
Me and Christian were joking about it. Like all these Last Jedi haters, I wonder how many are not watching The Mandalorian and just missing out on all of that because they're so mad.
Well, the
ones that are, they're still complaining because what was it, episode 4? And they're like, how does that woman know how to shoot when she's lived in a village? And I'm like, you don't know her whole backstory. And it's
and then there's that whole argument now too. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
There's that whole argument too where it's like, why are like all the heroes split up in The Last Jedi? Like they're never like split up before in like the original trilogy. I'm like, did you not watch The Empire Strikes Back?
I swear people have selective memory when it comes to the original trilogy.
I understand there's chunks in The Empire Strikes Back where all 3 of them are together, but for the most part, in like 2/3 of that movie, they're separated from each other. Like Han's gone for the last third of the movie because he's frozen in carbonite. Like Luke's on Dagobah training with Yoda. God knows what the hell Leia's doing. I forget what she's even doing in the movie.
I don't think she's doing anything.
But it's like, do people forget about this shit?
Yes, because we'll just go into Last Jedi here really quick. Second installment of the trilogy. Everybody who's listening received 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. I believe that is the critic score. I forgot what the audience score was.
It's like a 43 or a 44.
Yeah, it has a 7.1 on IMDb, despite a plethora of 1s, 2s, and 3s in the reviews.
It was up there.
It survived all of that.
Yeah, it was
still holding strong.
It was up by like a 7.4 at one.
Yeah, it's crazy. It came out 2 years after, so
I think eventually, like maybe like 5 years down the road, when all the dust has settled and we don't get Star Wars for a little bit,
People are still going to be bitching.
Either that, or it's going to kind of be like the Empire Strikes Back effect, because nobody liked the Empire Strikes Back when it came out either. Like,
that's
even like
so true.
The actors, like what the actors are doing right now with the Rise of Skywalker, where they're kind of like pushing Last Jedi off to the side, where they're like, yeah, like it didn't really like do anything for us, and it's like no like offense to Ryan and all that, but it's like we feel like JJ's vision was more.
Yeah, it feels like John Boyega's been really on that train.
Yeah.
And Daisy Ridley as well.
Yeah, but like the actors did the same thing for the Empire Strikes Back. Like Carrie Fisher was just like, yeah, I have no idea like what George Lucas was thinking with this movie, but look at it now. It's considered one of the greatest sequels of all time.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's a very good point. Very, very.
Yeah, and I think Mark Hamill even said something back in the day. People just blow a lot of things out of proportion, where it's like the whole thing where Mark Hamill like literally said to Rian Johnson, he's like, I fundamentally disagree with your characterization of Luke Skywalker, but it's your movie and I will make it work. Like,
and then he took it back. He took it back anyway.
Yeah, he took it back. Yeah, he took it
Everyone's
back.
Everyone's like,
anyway.
oh, you know, he was got paid to do that. I'm like, well, no, because I mean, Mark Hamill's pretty well, you know, versed and well aware when it comes to, you know, social media, and he wouldn't say anything out of the way unless he like, I mean, yeah, like if you disagree with it at first, but it's like people act like people's opinions can't change and people's outlooks can't change.
Right.
It's like, oh, coming from Luke himself, it's like, okay, great. Yeah, he might have said that at first, but it's like he might have actually had a different outlook. I highly doubt that anyone's out here paying him to say, oh, yeah, you know, Rian Johnson, this, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, no, if he didn't like it, he just didn't like it. You don't see any of the Game of Thrones people getting quote unquote paid to say, oh, yeah, season 8 was great. Some of them really liked it because it was really good for their characters. Some of them just didn't really care for it. But I mean, Emilia Clarke is one of those people who really care for the franchise, and you know we've heard her situation and her thoughts about saying, you know, she does feel like it's flattering when people didn't like it, and it's fine not to like something, but to like truly hate something like The Last Jedi, or it's like, can you even call yourself a Star Wars fan because you're bringing so much toxicity to a fan base that you claim that you are a fan of? And it's just like there's nothing wrong with The Last Jedi, in my opinion. Like, I think it's a fine movie. If you don't like it, that's totally fine. But to go ahead and say that, you know, Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars, it's just like, it's so much of a stretch.
It's because I feel like it's because too, like there's a couple of things too, like people had all these preconceived like fan theories as to what was going to happen, and then Rian Johnson tossed those out the window. And anybody complained, Rian Johnson, I'll say this, he didn't handle it all too well at first. Yeah. Like I know if you Google it, if you go to like Google Images and type Rian Johnson, your Snoke theory sucks, there's like a picture of him holding up a sign saying your Snoke theory sucks or something. So there was like stuff like that where he didn't really handle it very graciously, but like at the same time, it's like Rian Johnson made the movie he wanted to make. Like it's not him intentionally subverting expectations. And to me, it's him expanding the lore, like expanding the character of Luke Skywalker. Like I never understood the argument that Luke is out of character. I'm like, do you really want Luke to be the same character and in the same place he was in Return of the Jedi?
That's so boring, because it's like, yes, we know Luke is this, like, you know, this pure hero. He always does the right thing, but that also can be an issue, because I don't want to see a character who's just going to do the right thing all the time. It's very predictable. It's like if Jon Snow ended up on the Iron Throne. How many times did he say throughout the entire series that he didn't want to be Lord Commander of the Night's Watch? And then when he found out his true heritage, he said, I don't want to be king. I don't want to rule anybody. I just don't want it.
Just don't want to be king.
And it's, I don't know. Devin, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then like sorry to cut Devin off, but I was also gonna say too, like, and then people who are just like, oh, like Luke wouldn't turn his back on the Jedi like that, like that's not the Jedi way. Whenever I hear somebody say that's not the Jedi way when referring to Luke in that movie, what the fuck
is the Jedi
way? That's my whole argument. I'm like, do we even know the Jedi way? And when people are like, well, he failed the Jedi Order, that's not how it works. I'm like, think about what's happened in the entire saga.
You know who else?
The Jedi in the entire prequel trilogy
failed Anakin.
They failed Anakin. They failed themselves because they just sat around on their asses in movies and did nothing. And then
literally,
and then and then it's like Anakin failed. He failed the Jedi Order. He turned to the dark side. Like, look at Luke in Empire Strikes Back. He fails Yoda when Yoda tells him, "You better not go to fight Vader. You must not train with me. You will." But then, like, but then Luke's hasty and disobeys him. So it's like Luke failed Yoda's teachings then. So it's like, what makes that different from what makes what happened in The Last Jedi different from any of those instances? That's the argument I use.
No, I totally agree. Devin, what about you?
I think our initial takeaways from The Last Jedi was that they were moving on from the past, which is definitely something that I know me and you, Christian, have wanted.
Right.
Because these new characters they have are they're such good characters, and moving on to their stories was something that we wanted them to focus on. They still found a way to be mad about it, despite it being different
every single time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it didn't end up exactly how they wanted it, so they just have to hate it.
Yeah, that's the thing with like massive like franchises like this that have fandoms. Like, it's gonna be hugely toxic. Like, sometimes I'm ashamed to be like a Star Wars fan. Like,
especially the Kelly Marie Tran stuff.
Yeah, it puts me in a bad mood.
That was that's a really good point too, Devin.
Like, it is a very good point. Like, because especially with like going to Devin's point, where he's like, yeah, people are just like still mad about it because they can't like accept it or something. It's like people getting mad at like Kelly Marie Tran. It's like, you don't have to accept the character as Rose. Like, you don't have to like the character of Rose, but to take it out on the actress.
She's an actress. Like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, exactly. Like, she's just doing like what she's told. She's reading her lines from the script. Like, that's her job. Like, hating the calling out the actress because you hate the character, that's not okay at all.
It's so childish, and it's like the fact that people actually made her quit Twitter.
Yeah,
that was so annoying.
And between that and the guy who plays Jar Jar Binks, who almost took his own life.
Yeah, that's way too far as well.
And it's insane. It's like, how do you even call yourself a Star Wars fan? And it's like, and I posted on Facebook, I think it was yesterday or today, I can't remember it, but it's like, just because something is like the original doesn't mean that it's automatically better. Anything was the original airplane. Yeah, I know this is completely a big stretch, but it's like, that's like saying, the original airplane was better than the ones we have today. Really? Because it just isn't always the case. It just isn't, and I hate it. And I really like how The Last Jedi just literally did away with the past, because honestly, I'm very tired of talking about Luke, Leia, and Han. They've had their time. They've had their movies. It is time to move on.
Well, yeah, but we killed one of them off. Time to kill the other two.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I think everybody was just like, "Oh,
pass the torch and move on."
Like, I think everybody was just like, when they heard they were coming back, they're gonna be the main characters again. But it's like, no. Like,
you don't want these old wrinkly ass characters.
I don't want these boomers. No, I'm just joking.
Like, would it have been awesome to see whip out that green lightsaber and kick some ass? Yes, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. But you know what?
He's an old man.
We have to accept it.
It also wouldn't have looked very good because he's not spry anymore.
We literally would have gotten like the Robert De Niro version of Luke Skywalker beating, quote unquote, beating the crap out of Kylo. And it's like, Harrison Ford doesn't even like Han Solo. He prefers Indiana Jones anyway. So like
people are like mad about like Han Solo dying. I'm like, do you realize like Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo?
He's been begging for that.
Yeah, he was literally begging for that since like Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, he did not like the character at all. And then, Han Solo got his own freaking movie. as well. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god. The only reason why I saw that movie was for Amelia Clark, and that is it. That's it.
What do you guys think of that movie? Just kind of
Just it actually is like the second to lowest for me.
Yeah, I think watching it, it's really fun, but then like you instantly forget about it.
Yeah, pretty much same thing with Rogue One for me, and I know a lot of people love Rogue One.
Rogue One for me, I loved it when I saw it, but then like I'm thinking about it now. Really, like it's kind of a slow movie up until you get to the Battle of Scarif.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very tragic, movie, but I see Star Wars. I want to see lightsaber fights. I'm sorry, like that, but like,
Phantom Menace.
But at the same time, I really do enjoy The Mandalorian. So it's like, do I sound like a hypocrite? Absolutely, but back then, I just didn't really care for Rogue One. But for whatever reason, I really liked Mandalorian. We get Baby Yoda, or Toy Yoda, as I like to call him. Missed opportunity.
There's another point I wanted to make, kind of like what both of you were saying with shit. I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, it's all good, man. That's what editing's for.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a positive spin. I wanted to talk about like the most memorable scenes from The Last Jedi, because I think they have some of the most memorable scenes out of the whole franchise.
Okay, yeah, we could definitely do that. Let's do that for Force Awakens as well.
Anything in the Red Room, just amazing.
Oh, like the throne room with like Rey, Snoke, and that Praetorian Guard fight, probably my favorite action scene in all of Star Wars. And then people are complaining about that too, because apparently there's like that one guard that like his weapon disappears, so it's like everybody's like, "Oh, he should have killed Rey." I'm like, God.
I honestly didn't even notice that until you brought that up, because I was like, "What is he talking about?"
I didn't notice that until maybe like a month ago, and I was just like, "It's a little small detail. It's a copy and paste error, because those things are CGI." Like, it's a copy and paste error. Like, it happened.
But the fact that you noticed that a month ago and this thing came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, that is. I got to admit, that's a great scene. That's my favorite scene in all of Star Wars. All through all the films, like even Solo and Rogue One. Like, I think that's my favorite scene. Ever. Like, I think that's one of the smartest scenes created too, because it's just like that's kind of like the lightsaber fight of the movie. We don't get a traditional lightsaber fight, which I also love.
Yeah, we don't. That's right.
And I really see that as like the substitute. Like, even though they're not like fighting against each other, they're fighting Praetorian Guards with lightsabers, and it's got some of the best choreography, some of the best visuals. I'm like, this is awesome. I think that was the moment where I was like, this is the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah, the visual aesthetic is just so good. And
I love it.
They definitely kick ass when it comes to that. So for The Last Jedi, I think my favorite scene was when Rey is on the island with Luke, when she goes into like, that dark hole, and she's trying to figure out, she's like showing my parents like the whole mirror image, like going eons, and she's like, I know this is leading somewhere. And then it shows like a shroud of two people, and they come together, and it shows Rey. I think that was that, and when Luke had passed, when he like does a force projection, he sees the two suns, and it kind of symbolizes his beginning and end of his journey. And I thought that was a perfect send off.
Yeah, that's why I really love that. It just comes full circle. Like, this is how Luke started, this is how he ends. It's interesting too that Ahch-To has like two suns like that too, and and it's like, how many planets have two suns then? That kind of makes you think. And then I've always loved the expansion of force powers, how we get to see like Luke use force projection, the force connection, like
Snoke, instead of just moving rocks, quote unquote, or moving things.
Like Snoke connecting like Rey and
Kylo's those are really great scenes too. I loved it.
And like
That's how we got thick Kylo.
Thick
Oh, I love
boy.
it.
I think I would have like people complain about those because they're like, we never seen those force powers before. I think I would have been.
Who cares?
Exactly. I think I would have been less okay with those if they didn't make sense. Like the way they're presented on screen, they actually make sense. And it's like another one like people complain about the fact that you can now move matter from place to place with the Force. I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. Like,
yeah, it's dumb to think that the Force can only be used for one thing. Like,
yeah, like I'm cool with them expanding the mythology of the Force and introducing new Force powers as long as they make sense, and that's how I feel that those made. But people are just like, oh, you can't do Force projection, you can't do Force connection. I'm like, yeah,
oh, you can't, you can't.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, and it's like when Return of the Jedi came out and the Emperor shot lightning out of his fingers. Like, we never saw that before. So, like,
yeah, we actually haven't really gotten that with this with the sequel trilogy. I'm really hoping we get, or maybe Thick Boy Kylo will pull out the
the big guns.
Yeah, literally the big guns. So I guess
I also love the final fight scene in the snowy area where it turns red when you step on. It's just so cool.
Oh yeah,
the battle of
Crate. Yeah, it's like salt. I seriously thought Finn was gonna die.
He takes a lick. Oh, it's salt.
I've always
rub some salt on that wound, son.
I've always loved that battle because it's not technically a battle; it's more of a diversion.
Yeah,
and that's what just makes it so much more powerful, I think, too.
Yeah,
although it does have that one stupid line where like Rose is like, yeah, like blah blah blah, something we love, and then she kisses Finn, and then something blows up in the background. I'm like, okay, that's a little cheesy, but
and then I
can live with it.
Yeah, apparently they don't even get together. And from what we know, from what what we've been told already, not like spoiler, but yeah. With the Force Awakens, really quick. I wanted us to talk about our favorite moments from scenes from that as well, but because like they kind of push Rey and Finn together, and I was all for that because it looked like they had a genuine, attraction, or I guess you could say connection with each other. Because they also kind of hints at it in The Last Jedi, but then it's like, oh yeah, we're really good friends. I'm like, well, man, I was really hoping for that. Because like they have great chemistry, and but at the same time, maybe it is that they should have their own separate love interests instead of just doing the same thing as the original trilogy when it's just like a love triangle and things like that.
Definitely, I agree. I think one of my other favorite scenes from The Last Jedi, when Luke goes to burn down the Jedi tree, and then Yoda pops up. Great.
Does his little dance.
Yeah, he's like,
page turners, they are not.
And it's like everyone's like, yeah, like all the Jedi I like how Luke's just like, it's time for the Jedi to end, because obviously he senses the same power, fear within Kylo that he sensed in Darth Vader, and Darth Vader is the baddest mofo in the entire galaxy. And then he almost, strikes him down, like he almost kills his father in Return of the Jedi, but then he stops himself because it was a fleeting thought. It just passed. It was a spur of the moment thing. He brutally freaking whacks the crap out of Darth Vader in in Return of the Jedi. And then people were like, oh, that's outside of Luke's character. Why would he try to kill someone? I'm like, it'll be so boring if he's just doing the right thing all the time. And like, you're telling me he has no worries, no fleeting thoughts, nothing. He's not afraid of anything.
No dimensions.
That's what I love about Luke. He's just, there's so many dimensions to his character. Like, he starts off as like this whiny brat who doesn't really know what he's doing. And,
I was going to pick some power converters.
Who's going to go to the Tashi station? Like, he's quite like when Obi-Wan like brings him on his journey. Like, he's questioning everything about Obi-Wan. Ben,
Okay, I will say, how did he not know that Obi-Wan can know? Ooh, Ben Kenobi. Is that a relate?
Yeah, but he goes from like an inexperienced, like kind of like bratty, whiny farm boy to somebody in The Empire Strikes Back who still has those traits but becomes a little bit more hasty and overconfident in himself, and then Return of the Jedi becomes a full-fledged Jedi to The Last Jedi, where he becomes a Jedi Master, but feels like he has failed because he had that fleeting moment where he thought Kylo was gonna take everything away from him, and so he went on. But but like, here's another argument to that whole thing. Like, if you're mad that if you think Luke Skywalker's out of character, and you live by that, that's your stance, and you believe it's fact. It's like, don't blame The Last Jedi. Like, The Force Awakens set that entire storyline up when you think about it.
Yeah, because I mean, he went into hiding for some reason, and now we know the reason.
Han even says, it's like, went looking for the first Jedi temple to train a new generation of Jedi. Some apprentice took it all away from him or something. So now he's in exile. It's like, did you not like watch The Force Awakens? Like, they literally say that he's in exile because he thinks he failed.
Yeah.
Like, so why is this a problem in The Last Jedi?
I have no clue. So I wanted really quick. So what were your favorite thoughts from Force Awakens, really quick? Because I know
like favorite.
Or
favorite
I guess like favorite scenes.
Definitely the Millennium Falcon chase on
Jakku.
Jakku. I think that's my favorite action scene in that entire movie. I've always loved when she uses the Jedi mind trick on the Daniel Craig storm.
Oh, that's right. That was him. I totally forgot.
Yeah. I've always loved that part. The part that got me, that was like a big wow moment in the theater, was during the lightsaber fight when Kylo's using to try and use the Force to pull Anakin's lightsaber towards him, and it goes flying past him. And then you think, when it goes the split second it goes flying past him, you think Finn got up, but then you just see the lightsaber land in her hand, and it's
it was beautiful.
It's pretty similar to Mjolnir in Captain America.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Devin, what about you?
I think one of my favorites is kind of a smaller scene. It's when Finn goes up against that beefed up stormtrooper with the giant weapon.
Traitor!
Yeah. I thought that scene was so cool. Like, just that.
He had that like feel like whipping around that. I don't know what the heck that thing was. Some kind of like half-axe lightning rod thing. I was like, Jesus, what are these weapons? Never seen these before.
I also think Captain Phasma is kind of underrated because she's so badass.
Yeah, Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah.
Brienne of Tarth. No, yeah, she really was
awesome. Especially that battle they had in Last Jedi. She's just like so intimidating. It's so awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Dude, she's like what, a foot too taller than every other stormtrooper. I'm like, oh, and she's has this chrome armor. I'm like, oh
what
my
up,
God.
Chrome Dome?
Right. Like, she means business. I'm like, how do I get that? How do I get promoted to that? Honestly.
I've always loved one of my favorite characters, BB-8. I love how he's just a soccer ball with a head.
Literally, yeah.
But I mean, he's great. Like, he's funny. Like, he's there for I love it's a small moment too. I've always loved that scene where, like, Rey's questioning what's his face, Finn, as to where the resistance base is. And he's like the Ilenian system, and he gives BB-8 the thumbs up, and then BB-8 just lights the thing. It's like,
hey, he's like, I got you, droid, please. Oh my God! So I think my favorite scene was definitely the lightsaber fight between Rey and Kylo. Leading up to it going, her calling the lightsaber. And it was just, I mean, the fact when, even before when Kylo was facing Finn, and he just yells out like traitor, and just, I don't, he gets struck in his kind of like abdomen area, and he's trying to like, beef himself up and trying to like hold it in by hitting it, and it was just
it shows how powerful he is, because he's like wounded completely, and
he's fueled by so much hate. And then like when him and Rey just go at it, it was just it was just beautiful, and I absolutely, I think it's probably, if not it's probably like my second favorite lightsaber fight, because I love the one on the Revenge of the Sith. It was just, oh my god, Battle Mustafar, like all the lightsaber fights we got in that. I was like, this is just amazing. Absolutely love Revenge of the Sith. But,
oh yeah, I'm really happy though. I was like, see, this is what you have to be if you're a Star Wars fan. Like you can, like I hate Phantom Menace and I totally hate Attack of the Clones.
I think a lot of people,
but like because I grew up with them, like I can accept that they're Star Wars movies. Like I can accept that they're part of the universe. When it comes to Revenge of the Sith, I'm like, this is a very underrated movie. Like,
it is my favorite Star Wars movie.
There's not much wrong with that movie. You have Hayden's bad acting. Mostly, but even then, that's mostly in like the last third of the movie. Like everything that's like wrong with that movie is like in the last third.
Yeah, because especially
the last half of the movie.
Yeah, and I honestly like the only thing that's just really weird, like R2D2, like someone's got to create him, so let's make an Anakin. But it's like, what's the point of Anakin creating him if you're just gonna wipe his memory? If he's never going to remember who his original creator is, his original maker. Right. Oh, thank the maker. but then towards the very end, I was actually watching Nerd Soup. It's like one of my favorite podcasts and YouTube channels as well. They're also doing their Star Wars Revisited series, and I think they also just finished with the Revenge of the Sith. And towards the end, they're like, it would have been really cool if we see Anakin put on the helmet of Darth Vader like the first time, and then you hear him do like his iconic breathe, and then the movie just ends, because it's like the hero's lost, and we know what happens after that. And they were saying we didn't really necessarily need the whole like after Anakin becomes Darth Vader, it shows them building the Death Star, and it shows Leia dying and losing the will to live, and then after that, we're also going to make sure that Obi-Wan, we're going to have a scene where, they're splitting up Luke and Leia and taking Luke to his next of kin. And it's like, I felt like, and I totally agree with them when they were talking about that, where it's like, we didn't really need those extra shots, because it would have been really cool. And I thought about it, like, that would have been awesome if like it just ended on, him becoming Darth Vader, because we all knew it was going to happen. And then him just like rising and then doing like his first like breath, and then it just ends like boom. Right. I think that would have been fantastic, but him killing younglings and
killing younglings.
But I definitely recommend you guys go check out their recap review of that, because they are definitely my favorite podcast and my favorite YouTube channel. We talk everything Game of Thrones, everything pop culture, pretty much. But I think you like them a lot, Alex. But I guess was there anything else either Devin or Alex that you guys wanted to talk about, or do you guys before we wrap up? I guess really quick, actually, let's talk about our hopes, our predictions for Rise of Skywalker, because I totally forgot about that. I was like, wait, we were supposed to talk about something else. So we can get to that here for a little bit. I'm
just pumped to see Rey, Finn, and Poe all together at once.
Yeah, me too.
They keep showing that in the trailers and it just looks so cool.
Yeah, because they haven't really been together. I mean, kind of together in Force Awakens, but they really are the three main characters of this new trilogy.
Right.
But
I would say one of my hopes is that I hope Kylo does not get redeemed.
You hope he doesn't get redeemed.
Right. I think at this point, the way he's been portrayed in this trilogy with these two movies, he's irredeemable. Like, he goes from being somebody who idolizes Vader to letting the past go and having this realization in his mind that he can just take control of everything. And that's why he kills Snoke, because he's like, oh, now I can be the new Supreme Leader. So that's the tipping point for me, where I'm like, this guy is irredeemable. He's just pure evil. So I hope he doesn't get redeemed at all.
Right. And I'm hoping that, well, because Anakin is my favorite / Darth Vader. That they're my favorite characters in Star Wars. But I'm really actually hoping we get some kind of sense of like Anakin or Darth Vader. I doubt that it's gonna happen.
Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen's coming back.
Hey, this is where the fun begins. It's like the first thing he says when he comes back.
it's like Rey's like talking to like all the Jedi Force ghosts, and it's like, but I need help. I need your help, and he just goes, "This is where the fun begins."
That would be awesome. Like, oh my god, probably one of his best like one-liners from the entire free.
Oh yeah.
It's great, but I'm hoping that, you know, we were seeing like these dark visions of Rey with that sweet like switchblade double sided lightsaber,
yeah. Swinging lightsaber.
I think, because I mean, and I'm kind of with you, Alex. I'm hoping maybe Kylo doesn't get redeemed, but they probably would switch sides because, you know, yeah, there's been good versus evil. But I just don't know. I think it would be really cool if Rey fell to the dark, but there would need to be a really good reason for it, because Daisy Ridley said in a interview that the ending is probably least controversial than Game of Thrones. But it's like, why are we comparing a high fantasy sci-fi space adventure to a, you know, high fantasy medieval-esque? Either way, why are we comparing a TV show to a movie? I just don't understand it whatsoever.
Right.
But because, you know, endings for TV shows and movies are totally different. But that is one thing. And I really want to see the Knights of Ren. I want to see them take over. I want to see, you know, Rise of Skywalker is supposed to be around 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like 2 hours and 22.
2:21 it shows on IMDb.
Okay. Yeah, I think Devin and I are seeing it Thursday 19th. Yep. Dude, it's literally like almost less than a week.
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
I got an 8 a.m. on Friday.
8 a.m. Wow.
Ooh, there we go. Oh,
I saw some like 1 a.m. and like 4 a.m. showings.
I did too.
What?
I was thinking about getting a second ticket, but I remember there was other movies I wanted to see.
Yeah, Dwayne's like, yeah, we're gonna go to the podcast garage after that. I'm like, dude, if there's another showing at like 11:30, I'm just gonna watch it.
What's the podcast garage?
It's like kind of like we do some episodes of the podcast. So it's like this like studio in Boston that like you can go and record, and then like they record it for you, and they put it on a file, but like it's like this fancy smancy studio, you know?
Right? Getting those like nice Shure SM7B microphones, I'm sure.
Yeah, like we can if we want people to come in when we're there, like we can put them in on Skype and stuff. So
dude, that's really cool. Wow,
it's pretty badass. Yeah, it's pretty badass.
That is pretty sweet. Wait,
but I'm just like, I'm not going. Like, I'm gonna watch The Rise of Skywalker
at least 5 more times after.
Well, yeah, that was like Endgame. Like, we saw it at like 12:30 at night, and then like it was like 3:30 by the time I got home, and I was like, you know what? There was a 7 a.m. I could have went to the 7 a.m.
Wow.
and then there was an 11 a.m. and I was like, I could have seen this movie 3 times in like 11 hours. Yeah. If I really wanted to.
Yeah, that's what pretty much me and Devin did for Avengers Endgame. He came down to Nashville for the for the NFL draft. That was the main reason why. And yeah, we walked around. We were there for a while, weren't we?
Yeah, and then it started raining.
Yeah, it started raining on the first day, and then we were gonna go back downtown, and then Devin's like, "Can we just stay here and watch it?" I was like, "Yeah." It was so crazy. Like there were people literally everywhere, and we went to the when the Cavs won the championship, we went downtown Cleveland, and I don't think I've ever seen so many people a day in my life, but it was crazy. But we also saw, getting back to my point, we saw Avengers Endgame on, I think it was the day
Friday morning,
and then Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. Yeah, so we saw it twice in 1 weekend, because we saw it the first time in Dolby, because we're big Dolby boys, big Dolby boys. Yeah. And then we saw it in IMAX because, the Russo brothers was like, oh, you got to go see it in IMAX. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll see it in IMAX. I don't really like the seating in IMAX. I like Dolby 10 times better. That's just my personal preference. But we saw it once in Dolby, once in IMAX, because we wanted to get the IMAX posters.
Yeah, that was a big reason why.
And then we ended up getting all the posters, I think, the first viewing. But I was like, you still want to go see it again? He's like, well, of course. He's like, we got to go see it again. So yeah, it was, we made sure all of our fluids were out of our bodies and what have you. And I was like, okay, let's because I was very afraid I had to use the bathroom. I was like, I need to make sure everything's out of my system. I need to use the bathroom before I leave the house. I got to use the bathroom before we go into the movie theater.
That's like me. Don't ever go to the movies with me, because every 5 seconds I'm going to the bathroom to make sure I don't have to go during the movie.
It's so scary too, and it's like you don't want to miss anything. So you're like,
I know.
You got to go as many times as you can during the previews, and you can't get it all out of the way.
Even if you don't have to go, you're just like, well, I better make sure I don't have to go, just in case I do have to go.
Pretty much. Wow. But Devin, did you have any hopes and dreams, predictions for the Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, I mentioned having the main trio together and kind of furthering their story. Hopefully, I think Finn kind of got cast aside a little bit in the Last Jedi. Kind of got tossed around back and forth. So I hope he gets kind of a strong ending.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Definitely, yeah, I'm with you on that. I can see that argument.
Apparently, he's supposed to have a new love interest from the posters, at least. The fourth black person in the galaxy. There's 4 of them. They're very, very rare. But it's like, hey, I mean, at least out there's no racism, so it doesn't really seem like there is. So I think they're doing pretty good for themselves, honestly. But,
I love the Donald Glover SNL skit where he's dressed up as Lando and he goes to a black Star Wars back galaxy meeting. And there's just 2 people in the audience. Such a good skit.
I've actually never seen that. I definitely have to check that out, because that's hysterical, and it's so true.
Great. Yeah,
it's like
the black people of the galaxy convention, and then there's just no one there.
Oh my gosh, that's good stuff. Oh man, great. Jeez. All right, I guess now, since we're getting we're actually making pretty good time here, but was there anything else you guys wanted to cover here, or any last comments, questions, concerns about Rise of Skywalker, or anything before we wrap up here?
One more week.
One more week, yeah.
Yeah. Well, one more week. I'm hyped.
I just keep looking at my calendar. I'm like, I can't believe it's almost time. Like it's with the end is nigh. It's almost here, and I don't know if I'm ready for it or not, but I'm very, very excited for Rise of Skywalker. Very happy to have J.J. Abrams back as the director, and I'm just excited to see where he's gonna lead with this. I hope Star Wars in the future chooses one director per trilogy instead of going back and forth, whether that be J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson. They're somewhat completely different. I'm
Taika Waititi.
Ooh, you know what? That would be and
not a bad idea.
Yeah, and and
the big rumor is that Jon Favreau is going to take over at some point.
Yeah,
so I'm okay with.
Well, isn't Kevin Feige doing a Star Wars movie too?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be directing though. He'll definitely produce.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know he's pretty much the head honcho now at everything Marvel over at Disney. So he's got that nice, sweet little promotion. And yeah, hopefully they'll have they'll just continue on. I think they are taking a bit of a break between Rise of Skywalker and the next coming up trilogy. I think it was like 3-4 years or something.
Good.
Like that.
I think they should anyway.
Yeah, because obviously we're not going to start receiving Star Wars content, but for the movies, I think I think they need to go on at least a 5-year break.
Me too.
Something like that.
That's the beauty of Disney Plus. We still get our fix, and they can wait a little bit for the movies.
Yeah, and I'm totally down for more smaller scale Star Wars stories. Totally fine with me there. But I believe that's going to wrap it up here, ladies and gentlemen, everyone. Thank you both for coming on, Devin and Alex. And really quick, just wanted to get let everyone know where they can find you on the internet, Alex.
You can find me at alexmaddenmovies.mystrikinglead.com. That's my official website. All my social media links are there at the bottom of that site, so you can click on any of those links. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Insta. I'm working on getting Stardust and Letterboxd on there as well, so that's where you can find me.
All right, and Devin, if you so choose.
I don't have any social media to promote, but I'm just gonna say, let people enjoy things. That's just
there. You go.
To put out there.
Yeah,
there you go. I like that mentality.
Yeah, it's a great message, and everyone needs to, stop talking.
Even if you do have a Bentley and you think you're better because of it.
Oh yeah, that's
Christian has a little story.
Oh
there.
my gosh, dude! It was. I swear, people on Facebook are just wow. I was talking to someone about Disney. This guy was talking about, like, he was trying to make the argument that why are people paying for Disney Plus when you can watch all their content online for free? And I was like, well, you're paying for a service, and it's good quality. It's not just like it's crappy quality or anything like that.
Right.
And he's just like, oh, well, it somehow got to him bragging that he has a Bentley, and I was like, what does that have to do with this conversation?
I couldn't believe what I was reading. That's not a real person. There's no way.
No, it's definitely a real
I have no it was like a friend of a friend on Facebook, and I have no clue what was going on. It's just I always get this flack on Facebook, and it's
your Facebook's a cesspool at this point.
It really is. I posted about Greta Thunberg getting Person of the Year, and then there was
I reported his ass.
There was one of my own fraternity brothers who, granted, no one really liked him in the chapter anyway, but like. He's like, I hate Greta Thunberg. I just want to punch her in the face. I'm like, are you really mad at, what is she, 12, 13, maybe 15 at the most? I think she's like 13 years old. I'm like, you're that mad at a 13-year-old that you want to punch her in the face because she's trying to talk about, issues going on in our country and climate change and all that. It was just crazy. So yeah, Devin reported him, and one of my other friends had commented. He's like, what happened to your friend's comments? I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't really pay attention to it. And then,
Facebook took him down.
They took it down. And every time I comment, I say something on Twitter. Like, I always make fun of people for liking Hufflepuff. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I'm a Slytherin, but obviously I don't hate Hufflepuffs. But I think it's just really funny every single time I make fun of Hufflepuffs. All my friends come out and they're like, hey, I'm a Hufflepuff, and you're just jealous. I'm like, no, I'm Slytherin through and through, and let's not forget that it was a Slytherin that saved Wizarding World, but that's a discussion for another time. You can follow us over at Film Optix. Optix is spelled Optix, over on Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget that we are also doing a giveaway for the Rise of the Planet of the Apes trilogy, digital code. 3 movies, 1 lucky winner. It is posted on a pinned tweet over on our Twitter page. So make sure to go over there if you want to enter for that giveaway. And I believe, besides Star Wars coming out, because that's what we've been talking about here for like an hour and a half, I believe Devin and I will be reviewing Jumanji Next Level. coming out this
Oh
weekend.
God. Have fun.
I know Alex has already seen it because where he lives, they just I swear every single time on Cinemania, it's like all years together. I got this early screening for this and this. I'm like, how? Like this barely happens where I live, because I mean I'm part of like our film. There's like a film member for like our film festival here in town, but there's also a music critic association which I'm trying very hard to become a part of. I meet all the requirements besides one. I'm trying to change that, but sometimes I do get early screeners, but they're very far and few in between. So if it's not from AMC, it's definitely from my film membership that I'm a part of. But with you guys, like, oh yeah, we have early screenings on like Tuesday. I'm like, Tuesday? I swear, Devin, they got it good over there. They got it good on the East Coast, I swear. I mean, technically we're all on the East Coast, but they're closer to the East Coast than we are as of now.
I'm as Midwest as possible.
Yeah, I'm a little farther south.
Where are you guys again?
I am in Tennessee. Nashville
I'm in
area.
Chicago currently.
Yeah, he's in.
Okay.
We're both from the Cleveland area, so we went to high school together, grew up. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha.
So yeah, we've been best buds since high school. Lots of few people along the way, but
Oh boy.
whatever. It is what it is. That's life, honestly. But yeah, I think that does conclude it here. Again, thank you guys for coming on, and we will see everyone in the next one.